You clicked on this video because you want to know how to go pro in 2024 and potentially make it to the FNCS Grand Finals LAN at the end of the year. Well, you clicked on the right video because I'm a former pro with over $8,000 in earnings from competing and qualifying for multiple finals of tournaments. In this video, I'm going to go over what you will need to do to go pro and potentially make it to the FNCS LAN at the end of the year. As always, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and use code Tiekko in the Fortnite item shop as I'm leaking strats that pros don't want you to know. Thank you to Strategy for spreading positivity in the comments down below. If you guys want to be featured in the next video, comment down below. And also join my community Discord, linked in the description. This video is going to be a long one, so go get a snack and a drink, sit back, and take notes of what I'm talking about. I'm going to hyper analyze how to play Fortnite competitive and what you will need to do in order to go pro in 2024. Be sure to use the timestamps down below to skip around the video. Find the right duo. FNCS is the biggest tournament of every season, and it is usually duos, so you need to be on top of finding a duo who wants to play and grind the game to get better as soon as possible. Whether you are an IGL or fragger, find someone who could play the role that you can't and stick with him for the whole year. Building chemistry is so important when playing. And if you just play with new people every event, you won't do good because you won't build chemistry in a short period of time. Master solos. If you rush to the comment section to say, my teammates are always so bad, but I swear I'm good, you definitely don't understand the concept of you are only as good as your teammates. For example, if you can't find someone that you justify as good as you, it's because you don't have any placements to back up your skill level. No good player is going to risk playing with someone who doesn't have placements to back it up. This is where you master solos, by taking 1 or 2 seasons of just giving solos your all. If you give it your all, you should have masked maybe a placement or 2 over the time you played, and now you can find a duo who did the same thing as you. Not only that, the things you learn from getting better at solos will help you in the future. Whether that be fighting or decision making, it makes you an all-round player. Figure out your role. Figuring out your role might be the hardest thing ever because on one side you have the IGL, which is the brains of the group and who pretty much is the more important player in the duo, and on the other side you have the fragger, the player who gets the eliminations and is way easier to do. For me, I was a fragger all the way until I made $5,000. Then I realized that I wanted to IGL because I was good at fighting and I was really smart. That same season, I qualified to Grand Finals for the first time. All it took was just realizing what role suited me best. Being flexible with roles. So you figured out whether you want to be an IGL or fragger, but now this is where I break it to you that even though you are a fragger, it doesn't mean that you aren't smart. And if you are an IGL, it doesn't mean that you can't fight. Top players, whether they are fraggers or IGLs, all understand how to do both roles and can make split-second decisions that can win them games. For example, Cooper, the most recent FNCS LAN champion, was always a fragger until he played with Mero. Mero is also a fragger, so you can't have 2 fraggers on a team. So being the keyboard player, Cooper decided to become the main IGL, and now he's made probably 1,000 times his earnings from IGLing, all while being one of the best fighters on the region. Knowing the map. Knowing the ins and outs of this new map will give you a huge boost to progressing your path to pro. Most players just play the game to play and expect to get better, but understanding how other players move around the map will help you more than you think. For example, back in Chapter 2, whenever I land Corny Complex up spawn, we always scouted to see how many teams were landing in the Orchard area. If it was 2 teams, we would loot up really quick and go clean up their fights and get free points that would help us later in the tournaments. We did this because if there was 2 teams landing Orchard off spawn, we knew that when they would finish the fight, it would take them very long to re-loot up because it's a big split. You can translate this to the new map. There's probably some spots on the map that you know that you will loot up way quicker than other spots and that you can third party their fights off spawn and make sure you get free points. Play your scrims. Playing scrims is something I did for 3 hours a day for 3 years straight. I played every single possible scrim to learn how the game is for that season. I played scrims to test out new strats every single day that I can use in upcoming tournaments. Scrims were meant to try new things and not to be afraid to fail because that's what practice is for. This also works with the last point because knowing how players move around the map comes from playing tons of scrims and picking up on small details like how fast the person landing next to you loots up. VOD review everything. I cannot stress enough how important it is to watch your VODs back. Back in the day, I would make countless discords and fill them up with so much notes talking about how good and how bad we did on that day of scrims or tournaments. Watching VODs allows you to see crazy things you probably would never found out before. For example, in Chapter 2, whenever a trio was looting risky reels, there would be a solo looting this bridge. So the team from Pleasant Park could loot up quick and have time to push the solo and get a free elimination. Something like that is so important at the top level. That's what separates The top pros, from the mid-tier pros to the players that just start out, they always give themselves an unfair advantage. Storm Surge. Storm Surge is the hardest thing in the whole game. Storm Surge is how much damage you have done compared to the whole lobby, and if you are below the threshold, you will take 25 damage every few seconds unless you get more damage on other players. In lower level lobbies, it is very easy to get Storm Surge as the quality of the players in the game are pretty low. But as you move on to the finals against pros, it gets very hard, and that's where a lot of new players tend to struggle. There are some players who qualify for every single cash cup because in the opens it is easy for them, but then when they get to the finals, they get eliminated by Storm Surge every single game and place poorly. Once again, this can all be fixed if you just VOD review your games and you look at players around you. And I know Storm Surge is probably boring for some people, but it is literally the hardest thing in the game, and when the top pros get their Storm Surge, they will usually end up doing good in a tournament. So do your research on how to get Storm Surge in harder lobbies because you're gonna need it eventually. Getting power positions. Open up the map and locate where the power positions might be. These are things like hills or mountains that give you good eyesight on tons of players walking around you. You need to understand how power positions work because you want to avoid them when you rotate around them so players don't tag you for Storm Surge. But not only that, you want to maybe get on one of these power positions so you can get Storm Surge tags for yourself. When rotating around the mid game, you want to plan ahead to make sure that you don't run into a power position that stops your rotate. Master a drop spot. Pick a drop spot and master it. I don't care what it is, just master it. For me, back in chapter 2, I landed Corny Complex, which was the best POI in the whole game. But since we practiced the drop spot every single day, we barely died off spawn in any games, even while being contested by multiple teams. We always had the best drops, the best strats, and always lived off spawn because we practiced every single possible scenario of being contested. This carried us to qualify for multiple finals, make money in multiple cash cups, but then ultimately we would fall short in the heats because we didn't practice Storm Surge. We were so focused on just fighting off spawn that when we were uncontested in heats, we didn't get enough Storm Surge to make it to the end games. That's an example of how we didn't master our drop spot because we didn't know how to get Storm Surge when we were uncontested. Get a drop map. Getting a drop map for your spot is non-negotiable. It is a must. If you want to increase your chances of living off spawn by around 99%, you need a drop map. Whether you buy one from someone or you make it yourself, I don't care, just get one. I don't know about you, but I'd rather die off spawn because I missed a shot or my strats weren't that good, instead of getting completely outdropped to my spot. Please take time to make or buy one from someone. It'll allow you to live off spawn way more and it'll allow you to compete against the top pros at your drop spot way better. Build confidence. Having confidence is something that separates great players from good players. That little boost of confidence can win you important fights or get an endgame clutch to qualify to the next round. Confidence is built up by practice. If you practice often, you won't feel the pressure when it comes to tournaments because you have practiced that exact style of game thousands of times. Get a warm-up. Warm-ups are probably the most important part of any sport, so why would it not be the same to warm up for esports? In basketball, if you get there before your game and you take 50 3-pointers to warm up your 3-point shot, it will definitely be warmed up and you will most likely hit more buckets in the game. The same thing applies to Fortnite. If you train for 30 minutes to an hour in creative before hopping into the tournaments, you will likely enter flow state a lot faster. If you're watching this video a few days after its release, I probably posted a video on how I warm up for tournaments, so go check it out. If it's not out yet by the time you watch this video, be sure to subscribe with the bell notifications on to be notified when I post it in a few days. Enter flow state. Flow state is something you feel when playing your best. This is the time where your brain is fully focused and everything just feels second nature. Someone like me back in the day had a problem focusing during tournaments and I would usually play bad because of it. Little did I know, all I needed to do was cut out distractions and practice more. The more serious you take practice, the easier it will be to enter flow state as all your attention is onto the given task in front of you. Doing things like going on your phone mid-game breaks your focus and it'll take you out of flow state. Bad mentality. Your mentality is probably garbage. 99% of people won't be able to fix their mentality because they don't want it bad enough. But that 1% who is watching this video will understand what I'm about to say and incorporate it into their mentality. You need to have the I want to win mindset. A lot of people say they have it, but many people are just saying that because they want to feel better. If you had that mindset, you wouldn't get mad at your teammates when they made mistakes. You wouldn't skip your warm-up. You would play scrims. You would VOD review. And lastly, you would already be winning if you did all of these things. Most of the time when people aren't at the spot they want to be in their journey, it's because they are skipping something. They are trying to take shortcuts, but in the end, it just catches up to them. Stop blaming ping. You open up Twitch and you see your favorite 0 ping pro player dropping 20 eliminations and winning every game. But when you try it, you die because your ping is too high. First of all, ping should never be an excuse unless you are over 100 ping. I think this because I played 30 ping on East, made lots of money. Then, now I play anywhere from 45 to 55 and I still have made money in tournaments. The ping isn't holding you back. If you were good enough, you would be placing in the top of tournaments. Of course, your fighting might not be as good as a 0 pinger, but if you get as good as you can on your ping, I promise you will still place in tournaments. Especially things like solo victory cups where it is really easy for new players to make earnings. Don't listen to other people who aren't doing better than you. 99% of the Fortnite Pro community are jealous underage teens who all they care about is themselves. Do not go out and get a big friend group and put all your effort into being nice to them. You are better off with a small circle who play the game and worry about themselves. A lot of the times, I see people who have low earnings beefing with each other on Twitter over who's better. Well, newsflash guys, you guys are both awful. So don't waste your time on that. Just focus on yourself and always strive to be better. Take risks. Taking risks is what will make you go from a good player to a great player. 99% of people won't take risks in a tournament game, and that's where, from the confidence that you built up, you need to take that risk. Tier 1 pros make so many big risks every single game. This is called high risk, high reward. To be number 1 in the world, you need to make plays that only a select few people would attempt. Taking big risks that give you big rewards are how you go from being a top 100 player to now being a top 25 player. There's a big difference between those two, even though it's only 75 ranking. My peak power ranking was around top 77 on the North American Eastern region. Think about it. If I just had a little bit more confidence and took a little bit more risks, I could have dropped all the way down to a top 30 player on the region. You're not good at fighting. Your fighting is just not up to par with the top pros. It's something a lot of people don't understand, that even though the top pros don't seem to be good at fighting, all of them would still crush you in a 1v1. Please be sure to hop in creative and get your reps in every single day to make sure you are keeping on par with the minimum fighting ability needed to become a top pro. This is something you shouldn't focus on because eventually you'll hit a ceiling on how good you can get at fighting, but as long as you maintain your skill or try to get a little bit better at fighting every single day, I promise it'll help your path to pro a lot better. Your endgame is too passive. When you're on the final moving zones of a tournament game, there will be lots of players still alive. This is the easiest part of Fortnite once you master it. From the scrims that you play, you need to start learning how to get refreshes on enemy players more often. One of the main reasons players die in endgame is because they run out of mats. When you're around 500 mats left, you need to start aggressing people to try and get a refresh. People often just play too passive in the endgame and die because they didn't try to get elimination to keep them alive. You gotta understand that in the endgame, every elimination you get allows you to stay alive just a little bit longer in the game. I would say if you played an endgame perfect and you didn't make any mistakes in the mid-game rotates, in the endgame rotates, you would need around 3 eliminations to finish off the game. But in most games, you probably have made a fair few mistakes and wasted a bunch of materials, so you would probably need around 5 eliminations in an endgame to win it. And I'm talking about in duos. In solos, it's obviously less, but in duos, you need 5. Your aim is awful. Your aim is probably really bad. You think your aim is good, but in reality, it's not good enough. Getting aim trainers like Kovacs or playing creative maps that have aim trainers on them are a great way to get better aim and build up mouse control. If you are a controller player, you obviously don't need to aim train as much. This is something you can add to your warm-up routine for a few minutes every single day. I used to aim train all the time and I still didn't have that good of aim, but I probably have better aim than most of you. If I compared my aim to top pros, it is not good, but if I compare mine to yours, it is probably way better, and that's because the standard for how good your aim is super high in competitive Fortnite. Understanding 10,000 hours of mastery. 10,000 hours is the base where people say if you did 10,000 hours of a certain task, you will master it. Top pros have already hit 10,000 hours of game time a long time ago, and it makes sense why they are so much more ahead of you. I have over 7,000 hours of game time on this game, and that means I'm over 70% of the way to understanding the complete game. Obviously, I feel like if you have over 5,000 hours of strictly competitive Fortnite, I feel like you already have a great understanding of the game and you probably will already be a pro. But getting to that 10,000 hour mark really means that you probably mastered the game. Now, I'm not saying that it'll take you 10,000 hours to make earnings. I'm saying that nothing comes if you don't put effort. And when you put the effort, it will show reward. Motivation. Motivation is something I struggled with as a player when I was on my path to becoming a top pro. I would have a few poor performances in tournaments and lose all hope. To counter this, you need to be really strict on your practice routine. That makes you perform better, and you will have shorter dry streaks, keeping your motivation at an all-time high. At the end of the day, the only motivation you need is that you want to hit your dream goal. If for some reason that motivation dies, that means you probably are not interested in competing anymore. Be healthy. Step away from the screen and make sure you are taking care of your body. That means getting your social interaction, eat good foods, play sport weekly, get good sleep, etc. Just do things to keep your body in shape. Having a strong body equals to having a strong mind. With a strong mind, you can literally achieve anything you want in this world. I really wish someone told me that sooner, as I feel like I would have been way better at this game than I already was. Who knows, I would have maybe even made the global FNCS lands. Reinvest into your career. You probably play on a bad setup, but you are still quite good at the game. You need to find a way to make money, whether that be from tournaments, working, or getting birthday money. Just save up your money and reinvest into better equipment. Don't get me wrong, this won't make you go from a top 10,000 player to a top 500 player, but it will help you get a little bit better. Don't waste your money on useless things. Focus on the essentials, like a PC, keyboard and mouse, 144Hz monitor, and a mousepad. That is literally all you need to go pro. It doesn't matter if your things are the high-end keyboard and mouse peripherals. All that matters is that it works for you and that you like them. Being consistent. You need to show up every single day. Consistency is how you advance slowly. Stop saying you are going to start tomorrow and just start today. Consistently showing up and grinding towards your goals every single day to make sure one day you will hit them. Fortnite just announced that they will hold FNCS lands for the next 4 years, meaning if you start today, by the time the next few LAN events come around, you will probably be on par to qualify, and who knows, you might be a top pro. Top pros get replaced. When you look at the top leaderboard today, you probably think to yourself, wow, I will never be able to be better than any of these people, even if I tried harder than them. The answer is yes, you will. Top players will quit, or they will get washed, and that's where the new generation of players will come in to take their place. It's the life cycle of competitive in any game or any sport. When top players get older, they won't be able to keep up with the younger players, and in return, their place will be taken. You just have to be hungry and willing to grind. Communication is key. Just like with anything in life, communicating to your duo, trio, or squad is key to success. Whether that be when you're in the actual endgames or when you're talking about when the next practice session will be, having good communication with teammates will give you an advantage over other players who have horrible communication skills. You have to become friends with your teammate, but you also have to be hard on each other. When I made a mistake, my teammates would let me know what I did, and we would find a way together on how to fix it. Sometimes I would get offended, but you need to put your emotions aside when you want to be the best. Get a schedule. Schedule your life so you can optimize how much you do in-game and how much you do out of the game. Wake up early and get stuff done. At night, if you take a step back and write down everything you need to do tomorrow, you will most likely get everything you want to be done easier and faster. It keeps motivation high and clears your mind, making it easier to get things done. For example, every night before bed, I set tasks for myself for the next day. I keep them realistic so I know I can finish them, and then I also sometimes schedule things a few days in advance. Like this video has been in the making for many days, but I also have other videos that will be in the making that are already planned out. Have fun. Last thing on this long list is you need to have fun. If you aren't a person who thinks fun is winning, then maybe competitive isn't for you. The way I have fun is performing the best I possibly can in anything I do. Other people are different and their fun is just playing. Having fun in whatever way you want is fine, but for some people whose dreams are to one day make it to the top of Fortnite competitive, having fun needs to be winning. So if you aren't someone who enjoys winning and all they can think about is winning, then maybe Fortnite competitive isn't for you. And that's 30 tips to going pro in 2024. I obviously missed a few things, but I will be making way more videos to help you guys achieve your dreams in competitive Fortnite. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and use code Tiekko in the Fortnite item shop. With that being said, I will catch you all in the next one. Thank you so much for changing my life recently, guys. If you guys made it this far, I love you so much. Peace out.